Our final quarterback rankings for the 2026 NFL Draft are in, and Drew Allar has climbed back inside my top 3, and I'm betting on his traits.
You are Locked On NFL Draft, your daily podcast covering the NFL Draft. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome back to the Locked On NFL Draft Podcast. I'm Damian Parson. That's Keith Sanchez. And on today's episode, we give you our final top 10 quarterback rankings for the 2026 NFL Draft. We're going to go through QBs 8 through 10, QBs 4 through 7, and we're going to kick the show off with our big 3. Keith, it's time to get into our quarterback rankings.
These are the quarterback rankings.
So at there's a little bit of a shakeup inside our top 3, at least inside of mine. Keith, number 1, you have Fernando Mendoza, chalk quarterback out of Indiana. Number 2, you have Alabama's Ty Simpson. And number 3, you have Garrett Nussmeier out of LSU. Keith, for me, there's a little bit of shakeup in the top 3. I have Mendoza at number 1. That didn't change. Ty Simpson still number 2. I actually went back, watched Drew Allar. I moved him into that QB3 spot, Keith, and I'm for him.
We have to start there.
Yeah, we got to start there. We got to start there, Keith, with the Drew Allar conversation. I think a lot of it, to me too, played a part in watching. I don't know if you've seen John Gruden's QB class episodes that's been on YouTube.
Yeah, I watched. Who did I watch so far? I think I watched the Carson Beck one. I watched some of that.
You got
one.
Beck, Pavia, Taylor Green, and Ty Simpson up for sure. Those are the ones I know for sure.
Recently watched I seen some clips of Ty Simpson's. I'll say this, that they're pretty good. I watched the ones last year too. Like I watched all of them last year. Pretty good. Like just the insight of the kids and stuff.
No, I love him. I love what he's done. Absolutely. And you just see you also see the difference in, you could tell like the difference in what these young men are coached to do in college compared to hearing it from an NFL coach. It's just like, and you could kind of see that kind of not deer in the headlights, but this is different. You know what I mean? Like
the learning curve is obvious, right? Like you see the learning
curve
that has to take
place. And that's why like watching the Taylor Green one was so eye-opening to me, because I was like, him being like just listening and watching how that whole thing played out. And I was like, man, I don't think he has Drew Allar. I would have loved to see him bring Drew Allar there, because I felt like that would have been a very similar conversation of like, hey, decision-making, just like attention to detail type of things. But when you are 6'4", 6'5", 230, 240, with that type of arm talent, he can layer the football. You see the thing. Same thing when watching him is crazy, because I was like, talked about with Taylor Green, it's the lower body mechanics that throws him off a lot of times. One of the things John Gruden got on him about, hey, your mechanics, like you got to be consistent. Like your feet are here, you're throwing here. And it's similar things with Drew Allar, heel clickiness in the pocket. Things are coachable. And I think, for me, Keith, I was like, you know what? This isn't a strong QB class. No, it's not. It's not a class that like the Jaden Daniels and Bo Nix class where we had 6 in the top, 15 picks. Right now, I think 2 of those teams probably wish they didn't make those picks. You know what I'm saying? Like, I think 2 of those teams are like, maybe we shouldn't have done that. But at the end of the day, we had 6 in the top 15. We're not getting that in this class. I think Drew Allar has a chance to be a third one of those day 2 picks. And I think the Los Angeles Rams, they go BPA first and second round. Why not take that flyer on like a Drew Allar, bring him in, and if he hits with Sean McVay, you got yourself probably a top 10 quarterback in the league.
Yeah. I mean, and obviously these rankings, they're just revealed to me, right? As far as knowing when you rank them. I went back and forth with Drew Allar, and I'll spoiler alert, I have him inside of the top 10. We'll see, as the show goes on where I have him. But I think that's interesting, DP, because your insight is something that can't be overlooked, because will there be another NFL general manager that feels the same way, right? And I believe there is, right? There is of the 32, right? And then half of these teams or 30 of these teams may need quarterbacks of the future. Somebody's going to take a flyer on him and say, hey, what was the 2024 film, right? Because in order for it's probably a very similar thought process, and Drew Allar has just been totally out of sight, out of mind, but it's a very similar thought process when it comes to Garrett Nussmeier and Drew Allar, right? Where you have to, you want to go back to the 2024 film and then say that these guys play a lot of football at big time programs. They've had high level moments, right? Like I think if you watch Drew Allar's film against West Virginia in 2024, you're like, okay, this is the first round pick, right? It's just, some of the other things. So I think that's interesting. I went chalk, right? Fernando, Ty, then Garrett Nussmeier. And I because this is our final QB rankings, and I went that just because I'm like, you know what, these are the guys I'm most comfortable with, right? And I actually thought when you said you had a shakeup, I thought you potentially moved Garrett Nussmeier to 2 over Ty Simpson.
I considered it. No, I definitely thought about it. I think, and don't get me wrong, like when you're talking about floor and stuff like that, Garrett Nussmeier is definitely a safer option right now walking into the season than the Drew Allar, right? I don't think either one of those guys will be starting in 2025 and 2026. I think both of them be holding the clipboard, learning from a pro, things like that. I think Nussmeier brings natural throwing ability, accurate things like that. I want to see him just handle interior pressure a little bit better. I want to see him. I think going back and watching some of the games when teams start changing up their shells and stuff like that. I felt like it took him a little bit to get to the answers, to figure it out, or to adjust to the adjustments, right? And I want to see him just kind of do a better job of that. But talented player. I think, of course, size is going to play a part too. He was like 6'1", 200 pounds, so he's a little bit on the shorter side and everything like that. Was one of the big takeaways when I saw him in person at Clemson. I was like, oh, he's shorter than I thought he was. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like he's a smaller quarterback. So, and honestly, Keith, I believe there's a stat that I think there's only been one. I think the last quarterback, a sub 6'2", to be a true Pro Bowl quarter. Like the last two, I think was Drew Brees and I think Russell Wilson of like lasting success in the NFL. I'm like, you know what? Sometimes history isn't wrong, man. So I was just like, it's kind of tough. Like, we've seen the Kylers, like we've seen Bryce take steps. We've seen Kyler play well and then taper off. And we've seen, Brock Purdy plays well and things like that. And he's been kind of the exception, not the rule in a sense, but he's also in the perfect situation. I think if Nuss falls into one of those, great. You know what I mean? But I just wonder, shout out to Kurt Warner. Kurt Warner uses the term carry from a quarterback in a different way. He's like, hey, can you carry the team as a passer? Consistently game to game, 30 plus attempts when the team needs you to throw, the defense knows you're throwing. Can you do it and everything? And I'm like, going into the NFL, can these guys, Drew Allar, can Garrett Nussmeier, can these guys do it? I think they have the potential. Just got to be coached up on some things. Because I'll say this, jumping back to Drew Allar real quick, like looking at Drew, right? And like I said, the arm talent, and guys, I want you can go to my Twitter, DP_NFL. You can go to the little magnifying glass in the search and type in Drew Allar. There's a throw in the Big Ten championship game off of the 2024 season against Oregon. Mateo Uiagalelei beats, I think, Nolan Rucci, the right tackle, clean and quick. He gets past him. Drew Allar tries to step up, and it was just kind of like almost like, off of like Scorpion. You know what I mean? Just kind of he's trying to grab Drew Allar and just bring him back to him. Drew's fighting for his life to break free. He can't get free from Mateo, but he throws a rocket into the end zone, just a line drive touchdown. And I was like, these are the things that a general manager is going to see. And they're going to like, you know what? I mean, heck, go back to, was it the Boise State game? He threw that I think it was like a deep over or to, I think, Tyler Warren in the back of the end zone from one side to the other. And he just like rips it, but he layers it. He showed off the arm strength, but he also layered it to where it met, the ball met Tyler Warren right in the back of the end zone. It was dropped right in the bucket on time. Getting him with the vet is going to be paramount. Where I think like Nussmeier just, like I said, coach him up on some of the gunslingerness that he brings to the table. So hey, can we dial that back a little bit, Nuss, so we can, don't put the ball in harm's way. I think with Drew, if we can coach up to, hey, make the right decision, like listen to Taylor Green, watching him break down film with an NFL coach. And it's like, all right, tell me what you see here, because you took the wrong read. You're supposed to hit that end cut, and you wanted to come down to the flats. You didn't read. And he was like, I didn't read the Mike Backer. I sped up my process. And to see that, like, I always go back to Isaiah Thomas, who played with the Boston Celtics. He was like, man, he did an interview, said, man, I used to just watch film and watch what I did. when I watch film of my games. He said, I sat down with Kobe Bryant, before he passed, and Kobe taught me how to really watch NBA film. He's like, watch everything, not just you. So it's like, it's crazy how different it takes to watch film and how people don't really count that stuff in, Keith. So I think Drew Allar, I put him at 3. I'm going for this situation, I'm going with the tools. I'm going with the tools in this situation. Where, listen, this is the class. I'm like, I'm gonna take a swing on somebody. It's gonna be Drew Allar.
All the time DP, technically all of them are swings, right? We take
that's facts. That's a fact.
All right, well, let's do this, man. Listen, you had Drew Allar within the top 3, so I'm sure there's more surprises to come, right, as we continue to unveil these rankings. Stay tuned. Coming up next, we're going to reveal QBs 4 through 7 of our final QB rankings, top 10, coming up next.
Matt Derry here from the Locked On Lions podcast. Life insurance is one of those things you don't really think about until you have a reason to. For me, it really hit home when my father passed away over 20 years ago. You start thinking less about yourself and more about the people who depend on you and making sure they're taken care of no matter what. That's why I like Ethos. They make getting life insurance simple. It's 100% online, no doctor visits, no needles, none of that. You can get a quote in seconds, apply in just a few minutes, and even get same-day coverage. And honestly, that's huge because life gets busy. You can get up to $3 million in coverage, and some plans are as low as just $30 a month. It's just one of those things that gives you peace of mind knowing your family is protected. Take 10 minutes to get covered today with life insurance through Ethos. Get your free quote at ethos.com/LockedOnNFL. That is ethos.com/LockedOnNFL. Applications may vary. Rates may vary.
Workplace chaos, deadlines stacking up, inbox overflowing, and the one position you still have to fill is sitting open. When the pressure's on and you need the right hire, this is a job for Sponsored Jobs. Indeed, Sponsored Jobs helps you reach the people who actually fit what you're looking for. Skills, experience, location. So you're not just hoping the right candidate stumbles across your post. And here's a stat that says it all. In the minute I've been talking to you, companies like yours made 27 hires on Indeed, according to Indeed data worldwide. So if you're hiring, spend less time searching and more time interviewing candidates who check all your boxes. And listeners of this show will get a $75 sponsored job credit to help get your job the premium status it deserves at Indeed.com/podcast. Just go to Indeed.com/podcast right now and support our show by saying you heard about Indeed on this podcast. Indeed.com/podcast. Terms and conditions apply. Need to hire? This is a job for Indeed. Sponsored Jobs. Discussing QBs 4 through 7 on our top 10 rankings. But before that, don't forget to check out the Everyday Club for ad-free episodes and access to our group chat via Discord with Keith, myself, and other listeners of this show. Tap the link in the show notes or go to LockedOnNFLDraft.supercast.com. Keith, at number 4, you have, make sure I have the list up. Yes, at number 4, you have Carson Beck, quarterback at Miami. At number 4, I have Garrett Nussmeier. At number 5, I have Carson Beck out of Miami. At number 5, you have Sawyer Robinson. At number 6, I have Taylor Green. At number 6, you have Drew Allar. At number 7, you have Cole Payton. At number 7, I have Cole Payton as well, Keith. Let's talk about Carson Beck. Real quick.
DP, great minds think alike. That's what I was going to say. Let's talk about Carson Beck because I found myself, he's at QB4 for me. And when I looked at the rest of the group, I find myself saying, why not? Right?
Yeah.
Like just, when you talk about the journey or the roller coaster that is the Carson Beck, right? And starting at the 2023-2024 season. I mean, we've been knowing about him for so long, it seems like so many years. 2024 season, no, 23 season, right? Coming off of the 23 season into the 24 season, I believe he was a considered first round pick, right? 2024 season didn't go well, right? At Georgia. That was a bunch of interceptions during that 3-4 game period. I believe he was benched. People were wondering if he should still play football. I know we discussed this guy.
I think he had the elbow injury in the SEC championship game.
He wound up having an injury, right? And then the transfer to Miami, right? And I know we discussed it on this podcast, and we said this is either going to reveal who Carson Beck. Well, no, it's not either. It will reveal who Carson Beck truly is. And this is going to be a situation where it's either going to go good or it's going to go bad. It's either going to help his draft stock or it's going to hurt him, right? And the reason being is that we looked at it and said, you know what? Georgia, the way they play football, right? It's not just the roster, but it's the way they play football. It's a much more quarterback protected situation, meaning the run game, not asking a lot of you, not requiring a lot of you in order for us to win.
Be a game manager.
Yeah, and that's part of their process. And I compared it to the Alabama days when they had the AJ McCarrons and the Greg McElroys, right? It's the same thing, right? Where it's like defense, run game, trenches, we'll figure out a way to win, right? Like that's what just don't go mess it up. I feel like that's the approach they take with the quarterbacks. Just don't mess it up. And with Carson Beck going to Miami, there was no just don't mess it up, right? He was going to have to throw the football, especially following behind a guy like Cam Ward and what Cam Ward was able to do, how much was asked of Cam Ward in Miami.
Yeah.
That you would think the thought process of the head coach and the program was that if we're going to get another quarterback, it's to carry our team also, right? Like that's the style, that's the way they play football. And watching Carson Beck, I'll say I thought that it helped his draft stock, because I feel a little bit more comfortable about him being in complex situations or difficult situations. Like I feel like if he came out of Georgia, I would have been like, okay, confidence meter sits at around 30% that I could put the game on his shoulders and ask him to carry us to the finish line, right? Now I'm at probably 65% after that season in Miami, because he had to do more, right? And he was asked to do more. And not that it was perfect, right? Like even finishing, was that the championship game? Yeah, that was the championship game, right? They play Indiana. Yeah, I'm still thinking Indiana, Ohio State for the championship. I don't know why. But when he had the interception, right, to finish, like at the end of the game, you still get that version of Carson Beck where you're like, oh man, what was that, right? But I think on the other side of it, I think there's if we put him in a situation and have him make good decisions, there's somewhere there's a gray area that we can kind of maybe comb through, right? Or kind of flush out to get him to play good. And maybe he'll never be a great quarterback in the NFL, but can he potentially be a good quarterback if we elevate the decision making and he's played a lot of football?
No, 100%. I think a team that is, and I think I put this in my report over at Bleacher Report, Keith. He's the type of quarterback that if your team is ready to compete and you have a talented team and you need that guy that can come in, settle things, be a game manager early on, that's what Carson Beck can do. Like he can get the ball to your number one. He's good off of play action. Like Carson Beck can do the things that you need to execute at the NFL level. Like that just is what it is. And, the accuracy is there, the ball placement, he can layer the football. He's played a lot of football. He's seen a lot of things, right? And he's been in high leverage moments, SEC championship games. Miami should have been in the ACC championship game. ACC needs to fix that. I don't know what rule that is. They need to fix it. Like they should have been in there, right? But then you get the playoff run, and he didn't lose them games. Matter of fact, he won the Ole Miss game, right? Using his legs at that, late in that game, and in the red zone and everything like that. So I think you bring him into a situation where, again, remember my comp for him, Keith. I mean, it's a little off now, not a little off, but I think that Tommy John, I think is what they call that elbow injury. 2023, 2024, Carson Beck had more juice on his throws prior to that elbow injury than 2025. And hopefully you hope that it can kind of, maybe in 2026, 2027, it just continues to get a little bit better. But it's not that his arm is weak, but it just doesn't have the same pop that it did prior to the injury. But like, this is a guy I absolutely think that you can win with at the NFL level. And there's going to be some team that says, you know what? Whether they have a elder statesman at quarterback, like, we're good. We got a starter or whatever the case may be. Like, truthfully, I look at the Colts, right? You clearly, like, you shown that, okay, this is the type of archetype we want. A guy that can manage the game, hit the first read off of play action, right? Get the ball out quick and kind of really run our offense. And Daniel Jones, right? Carson Beck can come in and do the exact same thing. And I think Carson Beck might be a more aggressive thrower down the field in terms of taking shots than what you get from a Daniel Jones. Daniel Jones will take the shots when they're there or when they're dialed up. I feel like Carson Beck might be a little bit more aggressive to take the shots, Keith. Cole Payton, we both had him at 7. I'm not gonna lie to you, Keith. This is a dude I like a lot. Like, he's a 1-year starter though. So you know what comes with that.
That's what I
go ahead.
leaned into, DP. For me, it was, I like the developmental project, right? Like, and I'm excited about that, but I also had to balance with me understanding that this is a developmental project, right? Like, I could be excited about the project, but you realize it's still some work, right?
It's
like,
still a project. Yeah, you still got work to do. I think the ceiling is high for this young man. I think he can come in and run a pro style offense by also doing the athletic things of that we see from the athletic quarterbacks, the QB zone reads, QB powers, and things like that, or just using his legs as an equalizer, right? Like 3rd and 10, you're playing man-to-man coverage, and your rushers get out of their lanes, and there's nobody to account for him. He's going to hurt you, right? He's a 4.5 athlete. He's 6'3", 230, powerful guy, lefty, and he's got good arm talent. He's got good velocity in the short to intermediate. I think his the accuracy down the field is what I want to see him get better at. I think his deep ball is a little flat in terms of the trajectory. I want to see him get a little bit more air underneath it and everything like that. It's almost line drive-ish, which is cool when you got Bryce Lance running past FCS opponents. But when you are in the NFL, you might want to put a little more air on that. You know what I mean? So your guy to give your guy some time. But I mean, I put in my report, over at Bleacher, my comp was Jalen Hurts. I think he wins the same ways. You know what I mean? Like, just being the powerful physical quarterback. He's hard to bring down. Both of the guys that have good arms. I think the difference is he's better in the middle of the field, while Hurts was more accurate down the field. That's where they're different to me. Where Hurts coming out, Hurts threw the goal ball with great ease. The post, he threw it with accuracy and placement, where I want to see Cole get better at. While to me, Cole threw and processed better in the middle of the field than Hurts did coming out. But just the way they win, man. And it's like, and they both are willing to put their bodies on the line to make sure that their team gets that first down, gets that extra yardage, or get the touchdown. And I just think that's like, I don't know where he's going to fall, Keith. You know what I mean? I hope it's someplace that gives him time to actually develop. Heck, Philly. I mean, I feel like, you know what I mean? I think that would be a good spot for him, because he can, you always want to have a quarterback that can do the same thing your starter can do. You know what I mean? Having a Tanner McKee and you want to run QB zone and QB power is like, we got to change our play calling up if Jalen Hurts gets hurt.
Yeah,
you know
I mean, we've seen how much that hurt the Ravens, right? This past year,
Facts.
I think when they had Cooper Rush and then finally when they brought in Snoop, like, it was like, okay, we can kind of run our offense, right? Like, we've seen how much. And I think every team with a running quarterback should go get a running backup quarterback, right? Like, that's just somebody with a similar skill set.
So much sense.
So you could keep the same offense. Well, DP, let's do this, man. That was quarterbacks 4 through 7. So we ran through the big 3. We've knocked out quarterbacks 4 through 7. Let's do quarterbacks 8 through 10 to round out our top 10 QB rankings for 2026 NFL draft. Let's discuss that coming up next.
Spring is a natural reset point, and if there's one thing that can quietly cost businesses money, it's messy communications. Missed calls, scattered texts, no clear thread of who said what. That's why today's episode is brought to you by Quo, spelled Quo, the smarter way to run your business communications. Quo is the #1 rated business phone system on G2 with over 3,000 reviews, trusted by more than 90,000 businesses. It lets your entire team share one business number so you never miss a call, text, or opportunity. The part I love, everything lives in one clean thread: calls, texts, and voicemails. It just makes your business feel more organized and more responsive. Make this the season. No opportunity and no customer slips away. Try Quo for free and get 20% off your first 6 months at quo.com/LockedOnNFL. That's QUO.com/LockedOnNFL. Quo. No missed calls, no missed customers. Thank you for making Locked On NFL Draft your first listen of the day. Thank you for making the Locked On Podcast Network, #1 sports podcast network in America. It's all because of you. QBs 8 through 10 on Keith's list. He has at number 8, Cade Klubnik, quarterback out of Clemson. At number 9, Taylon Green, quarterback out of Arkansas. At number 10, Luke Altmaier, quarterback out of Illinois. For me, Keith, we're simpatico. At number 8, I got Cade Klubnik as well out of Clemson. And number 9, I got Sawyer Robinson. And number 10, I have the Johnny Manziel disciple, Diego Pavia at number 10.
Yeah, I battle with that too. Let's talk about, let's talk about Diego, right? Like I think we should discuss it because there's been times throughout this process, right? He's been QB3, right? He's been and through the draft process, he's managed to get himself the QB down, right? Just down the list, whatever that is. But I want to have a balanced conversation and understanding that this is a young man that's played a lot of football. He's played a lot of football at a high level. He's won a lot of football games. And he's been in, what's the word? I'm trying to use a big word and I want to make sure it's the correct. Disadvantageous. I don't know if that's like, that's a word.
Yeah, I think it's
kind of like.
Yeah, I know exactly what you're saying. Yeah.
Well, he didn't have the best team, right? He didn't have the best team going into the games, but he still managed to win games, right? So you have to kind of classify him as a winner, right? Like you have to put that on him regardless of how you feel about him as a football player, right? Now I always say this, removing the likability part, right? Like if you like him or not like that part, we gotta throw that away. And it's for good or bad, right? Like even if you dislike him, you can't double your dislike if he's a good player, right? Like you can't be like, I really hate this guy, he's a really good quarterback, right? And you can't doubly like a person and make him better than what he is because you like him, right? But with Diego, just pointing out the things that he did on the field, I battle with if I should move him higher, right? Just because of his accomplishments. Now, the reason why I didn't was just because of the size, right? And then I think he is going to be a very specific situation. A place where I see where he can probably quote unquote thrive and do his own thing would be somewhere like a Tampa Bay, right? Like I think that teams would have to have the Baker Mayfield-ish approach to him, because Baker is a guy that rubs people wrong sometimes, right? And I think his likability meter is elevating, but I think for a while he's done stuff that people have kind of, it hasn't been 100% everybody likes him, right? It's 50-50, right? Some people gonna like him, some people gonna not care for him. I think Diego is kind of the same way. To like some people like him, some people won't, but also the stylistically playing on the field, because Baker, as much as he's developed and been an on-script guy, in my opinion, he still has that off-script mentality to him, right? Like in making plays via his own way and like seeing the game. And I think that that's good for those guys. Like trying to make a quarterback so robotic can take away from the things that make them great. And I think that's the approach, I think, with Diego, is that you want to also make sure you don't overcoach him and take away the things that could potentially make him great, the things we've seen on Sundays.
I think, Keith, to your point, I'm with you. The skill set, like he has an NFL skill set. Like I think he's showcased accuracy. I think he showcased the ability to drive the football and throw the football down the field. Right, he has that off-script playmaking and chaoticness. Like, okay, if the protection breaks down, he showcased the ability to get out and create. Right, and like you said, the size is going to be a thing, of course. Yes, that we all know that for sure.
And I don't mean to cut you off, but speaking to the size part, I kind of made this point with Bryce Young, right? And I'm like, okay, he's undersized. I'm like, okay, well, listen, who did he play against in college? He played against Jalen Carter, Jordan Davis, some of these guys, right? And I've always made the point that those guys didn't get to the NFL and then grow 3 inches, right? Like, so he's played against the NFL talent already, right? Like, and it'd be the same thing for Diego, right? He played in SEC, like, so he's seen 6'5" defensive ends, right? So it's not that these guys got bigger. Now, the faster part in the game, moving faster and talent, the talent elevated, but the guys didn't get bigger in the NFL. They're the same guys from college. They just transitioned. They didn't grow.
No, and I think that's going to be the thing, is that he's battle tested. And he's a guy that I would call a program changer, right? He changed the program with getting to Vanderbilt, right? He changed the mentality and the perception of that program to where I think they got the #1 quarterback in the class or something like that as a high school recruit.
You know why I think I went with the Baker Mayfield, and I think Baker Mayfield has more physical tools than
for sure.
Pavia. So, but my comp is their mentality, and if you think about it, I just thought about this, right? That we forget that Baker Mayfield, at the time he was at Texas Tech or something and was the walk-on and wasn't supposed to play. Like, and sometimes in order to get yourself there, there's a certain element of delusion that has to happen, right? Like you have like the chip on your shoulder. It can kind of go both ways, right? Like you're like, you know, because people like him, like, man, he's fired up, he's angry. Yeah, and sometimes those guys are just always angry, right? Because they feel like they have to be, right? To go from being a walk-on to the #1 overall pick in Baker Mayfield, to go from playing at, I think he was at New Mexico State, being 5, and we've seen him in person. Like he's 5'9", like he's every bit of undersized for a quarterback. Talking about Diego Pavia, right? Like to do that and then go in the SEC, there's a certain level of anger you kind of have, right? Like confidence, arrogance, whatever you want to call it, you have to have it, because if you didn't, you were never going to survive in the SEC.
Absolutely. I think the big thing for him, Keith, before I want to jump to Cade to close out the show, the big thing for Pavia, I think somebody's going to want to draft him. I said, but I think the main thing for him is, listen, the antics, like, you know what I mean, off the field, the brashness, like, yes, have that chip, have that mentality. I think his issue is like the Heisman situation, just the way he carries himself. You're not coming in as a starter, so you got to come in as a backup and showcase, number one, I'm a great teammate, right? Like, I'm like, hey, we're our starting quarterback threw a pick just now. We're all looking at the Microsoft Surface tablet, and I'm telling, hey, this is what I saw from the sideline angle, and help your starter out. I think that's going to be the big thing, is can you carve out that role as the backup quarterback or the number 2, right? Because somebody's probably going to draft you as like a pseudo number 3. You might battle with a vet for the 3rd spot. Can you climb? Can you showcase the leadership capabilities? Again, getting with a coach that embraces your moxie, but also tells you, hey, this is a league of grown men. This is a locker room of grown men, right? You can't come here and say certain things, you know what I mean? Because that might get you hemmed up, you know what I mean? Dealing with the wrong person. So I think that's going to be a big thing for him too. Keith, I want to jump the Cade real quick. We both have him at 8, and it's just like, oh, how the mighty have fallen. Because Cade was supposed to be one of the top quarterbacks in this class, Keith, and physically athletic, straight line speed, arm talent is there. But man, it's the processing, it's the skittishness, the inconsistency. He flashed so well in 2024, and 2025 just did not look the same.
Yeah, no, I agree. And he made the list because of the physical tools, but I'm with you. And I wonder, DP, if we'll look back on this, and we've had a discussion about Peter Woods. We've had a discussion about I think edge rusher, TJ Parker, right? About these guys getting out of removing themselves from obviously the Clemson season and getting to the independent. I wonder if he's going to be potentially one of those guys too, right? Like potentially getting to the NFL and get into a spot that's maybe potentially more conducive for their learning and development. Yeah. And we'll see Cade, play at a high level. But I'm interested to see, and I'll say this with all of these quarterbacks, DP, all these quarterbacks in the top 10, I can see them being starters, right? Like there's a path for them being starters. I'll say that. Now, maybe I don't see superstars, right? And like you say, you don't have the Caleb Williams and the Jaden Daniels, but I would not be surprised if all 10 of these quarterbacks at some point start in the NFL career. And out of these 10, we end up with 3 or 4 long-term starters, right? Just because there is talent there. It's just it's the combination of right timing, right situation, and their proper development, right coaching.
The untapped potential that has to be pulled out.
Yep, 100%. I think that's the best way to kind of describe this quarterback class. But DP, that wraps up another episode, man, of the Locked On NFL Draft Podcast. I want to end this podcast off by saying shout out to our everydayers. Thank you for tapping in with us each and every single day. I am Keith Sanchez. You can find me on X at The Talent Code. That right there is my guy, my co-host, Mr. Damian Parson. You can find him on X at DP_NFL. Like we like to say, man, y'all come talk to us. We like to talk back.
Go subscribe and follow for free on YouTube, wherever you listen to podcasts, to get the latest episode as soon as it is available. On tomorrow's show, we're giving you our final top 10 wide receiver rankings, and there might be some shakeup inside the top 3. So come join the conversation again tomorrow on the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.